After a mental invocation to Sri Ram, Kakbushundi briefly summed up the previous day's story before moving on to the next episode. He reminded the birds that although the events that he was describing were tragic, what they needed to focus on was the inner climate of Sri Ram and some of the other characters in the story. Then he began his tale. Kausalya Devi was doing her morning puja when Ram arrived at her palace. She wanted to prepare a special breakfast for her son because it was a very special day. He was going to be proclaimed the Yuvraj. Kausalya Devi had no idea of all that had transpired. Ram broke the news to her in a loving and gentle manner. He did not say that his father had ordered him to go to the forest. Instead, he said, "My father has offered me the kingdom of the forest." What that implies is that his father had kept his word. He had promised to give him the kingdom, and he had done so. Thus, what Ram said was true, and it was conveyed in a loving manner. There was no grievance or accusation expressed against the king. "In the kingdom of the forest," said Ram, "there will be a lot of work for me. I will have to punish the perpetrators of evil deeds, put an end to evil deeds themselves, and offer protection to good people." Ram asked his mother to bless him with a happy heart so that his journey to the forest would be both auspicious and joyful. He soothed Kausalya, telling her that she should not be frightened on account of her great love for him. With her blessings, everything would be blissful for him. Kakbushundi paused for a moment. "The scriptures," he said, "declare that we must speak words that are both truthful and beneficial. We must speak them with the welfare of the other person in mind, and therefore our words must be expressed in a positive manner and in a pleasing tone. That is considered the spiritual practice or tapas of the tongue. All this is beautifully illustrated to us by the way in which Sri Ram speaks to his mother. Although Ram's words were soft and gentle, you can imagine how they pierced his mother's heart like arrows. "How had all this happened?" she asked. The son of the minister, Sumantra, had accompanied Ram, and he explained all that had taken place. Kausalya Devi was sweet-tempered and warm-hearted by nature. Only once did she say that a mother's standing was higher than that of the father, that one should obey the mother, and that she was instructing Ram not to go. But then she realized that it was pointless saying anything, because Ram would always uphold Dharma. Kausalya Devi loved Ram as much as she loved Bharat. So Bharat getting the kingdom did not cause her grief. Even the fact that the king had promised Ram the kingdom of Ayodhya but had then given him the forest instead did not cause her sorrow. What worried her was what would become of Bharat without his elder brother. And what would be the condition of the king? These were her two greatest concerns. As for Ram, she declared, he would go to the forest, and she knew that he would take care of himself. Wherever he went, there would be happiness. The Devtas and Devis of the forest would be his father and mother. The inhabitants of the forest, along with the birds and animals, would be his friends. The forest would become a blessed place, while Ayodhya had lost its sanctity. Kausalya prayed for the Devtas, ancestors, and for Bhagwan to protect Ram. She would wait for the passage of 14 years, and the hope of seeing him return would sustain her. Just then, Sita Devi came running because she had heard the news. When she learned that Ram had to go to the forest, she did not ask why. Whatever the reason, her concern was that Ram should not depart without her. Ram tried to dissuade her, and so did Kausalya Devi. Life would have no comforts in the forest, they said. There would be all kinds of difficulties, no proper paths to tread, inclement weather, dangerous animals. There were Rakshasas who devoured men and women. Sita Devi replied that the anguish of separation from her husband was several times greater than all these troubles put together. If she and Ram were together, she would always be content. Sita Devi had a response for all the arguments put forth by Ram and Kausalya Devi. It was clear that she was not a weak woman. She had total clarity about her duty, and it was her decision to go to the forest. And Sri Ram decided to take her. Kausalya Devi blessed them both. Just then, a weeping Lakshman arrived running. He was also determined to leave with Ram. Kekai had not demanded that Sita and Lakshman leave. She had only asked about Ram. So Ram tried to reason with Lakshman that Bharat and Shatrughan were away. He was leaving with Sita. Their parents were in a very sorry state. The citizens of Ayodhya were overwrought, and when the subjects of a king experience such sorrow and a sense of hopelessness, the king is cursed to bear the sorry consequences. Lakshman protested that all his strength derived from Sri Ram, that matters of governance were beyond him. For him, Ram was both mother and father, and without him he would not be able to live. And finally, Ram, who loved Lakshman very dearly, advised his brother to first go and seek his mother's permission and blessings before setting forth with him. And so the relieved Lakshman went to meet his mother, Sumitra Devi. And what she said, we will see tomorrow. With that, the story session came to an end. The birds bowed down to Kakbushundi and flew off with so much to reflect on.